Hello, my name is Sean, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Killing Moon, the first book of the Dream Blood duology by N.K. Jemisin, author of other absolute bangers like the Broken Earth trilogy and The City We Became. It's a high fantasy novel with political intrigue, a really unique magic system, queer representation, in an original and well-researched world. Other titles in the same sphere are The Poppy War and The Stardust Thief, which both have an ethereal, mystical quality to the magic and the world-building, interesting characters, well-researched, and intriguing cultures that hint at a much broader and much more fleshed out world outside of just where the story takes place. Characters and ideas are fairly similar things out of the gate off rip. A new trainee is the main character, or one of the main characters, into a mysterious order of magic assassins, in this specific case, soul gatherers, who lay the old and dying to rest peacefully by guiding them into the next stage of life through their dreams. But outside of their culture, these guides into the afterlife are seen as assassins and murderers, and we learn fairly quickly, this is a spoiler-free review, but it comes up pretty quickly in the first third of the book, that this view is not an inaccurate one, that these are murderers, assassins. Where the real tension comes in is the introduction of a reaper, an actual reaper, grim reaper, as you know, that is where the influence comes from, certainly, a being like these soul gatherers, but much more brutal, truly bloodthirsty and fueled by dream blood, a thing that we see hinted at, not just hinted at, but outright shown in the very first chapter. And dream blood, what is dream blood? Dream blood is just one piece of the magic of this world. It is inspired by the four humors of medicine as practiced both by ancient civilizations, Greek, Rome, Egypt, notable Egypt, we'll come back to that, and in 20th century psychology, Carl Jung, Freudian stuff. As N.K. Jemisin states in her interview with herself that she does in the back of this edition of the book that I have, might not be in whatever editions you get, but it's a really interesting interview. But as she says, the power of the mind to affect the body is something that's been understood and exploited since ancient times, and this is a powerful theme in the book that manifests itself in the form of its magic and mysticism. It shows that there is a ton of research put into this book, not to make things factual, but to make things feel well-rounded, make things feel full and whole and as one unit, as a real thing, which N.K. Jemisin is always able to do in everything that she writes. It all feels whole, it all feels fleshed out, and the research and the time into that shows. Where the main stage of this story is set is a primary city, a primary region of country inspired by ancient Egypt and Hinduism and Indian cultures and influences. But not only are other regions shown, but other cultures, varied cultures, much broader cultures are shown to not only have influenced the main stage, but are also influenced by them. And it shows that this world is fleshed out, is well-rounded, and it feels something that could be real. And this is something that N.K. Jemisin is also always magnificent at, and it shows in this book as well. She takes a culture, focuses on it, fleshes it out, brings in pieces that oftentimes are taken for granted in a lot of high fantasy medieval European style worlds, and makes things interesting and unique, but delves into other cultures, shows that it's not just, well, I'm going to be unique and make this here. No, she shows the diaspora. She shows various people from various cultures having various influences, and the interaction is what makes things feel so fleshed out. Not to repeat myself, but feel so fleshed out and feel cohesive, and like there is that there's stakes, not just stakes for who's going to die, who's going to win, is the bad guy going to take over the world, but these cultures are at stake, right? These cultures, these ideas, these people are at stake, and that adds so much tension and so much excitement to these books. Overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this book, as I always do with anything written by N.K. Jemisin, and fans of the fantasy genre will absolutely enjoy it and absolutely love it. At times, it does struggle with the age-old problem fantasy books have of kind of dumping in a bunch of names of places that we have no context for, that don't sound anything like real places that we would know or that we would care about, names of people, names of mountain ranges, whatever. And that is always a struggle from time to time, and it often leads to scanning over it, skipping over that section, going to something new, and then a few pages down the line, we realize, oh crap, I was supposed to know what this thing was, but I skipped over it. That is something that all fantasy books, not all, but a lot of fantasy books have, and I won't hold it against them too much, but it can definitely take some people out of the book. If you want to buy the book yourself, it is likely only available in paperback. You might find some hardcovers elsewhere, but online and in retail stores, you're mostly going to find this in paperback. Barnes & Noble and Amazon have it for $20 or less. Amazon is always going to be a little bit cheaper, but I would implore you, you can likely find this at your used bookstore, your local used bookstore. Came out in 2012, over 10 years ago. Might be a little bit difficult to find, but you're almost always going to find a paperback edition of this book. And it does not have a map, this edition. It does have a very interesting interview that N.K. Jemisin has with herself at the very back, but there are certainly other editions that you can look and find. You can also find it in ebook online as well. But overall, an 8 out of 10 for this book. I do highly, highly recommend it if you are a fan of the fantasy genre, and even if you're not, N.K. Jemisin is a wonderful writer, and this is a great start to her books that only get better from here. So, thank you so much, and until next time, be safe, be smart, make wise decisions, and farewell.